Hey, hey, movie maniacs! My name is Sky, and I'm joined by my brother Dusty. Dusty, I have a question for you. Have you ever experienced the phantom poop?
Is that where it disappears? Like it's like, where'd it go?
Not really disappears, but you go poo, and then you wipe your butt, and there's nothing on the paper.
Oh, probably yes, but that's a rather interesting way to start
Yep,
the
I had
show.
one of those earlier this morning. Yeah, it was very nice. It's crazy when it
Congratulations,
happens. Yeah, thank you.
congratulations! I'm really happy for you.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
Speaking of bathroom, I want to ask, and this will lead into the bathroom. Are
Mhm.
you? Do you consider yourself being frugal?
Yes, totally.
Are you?
Yes.
I know I am very frugal, and I think obviously we get it from we didn't growing up, we didn't have a lot of money and stuff, and which is good because we just don't waste money. But I'm frugal for things or with things that are consumables. So have you ever heard of the safety razor?
No.
So I have it right here. I want to show it to you. So everybody watching this on YouTube, this is the safety razor,
I've
and
seen it before, never knew what it was called.
yeah. So as I'm showing it to you, so you take off the top, unscrew it, and then it comes apart. So it's made out of like stainless steel or something, but there's a blade that goes inside there, so you can see the blade right there, and you can change these out. Now, what's great is it shaves really really well. I love shaving with it, and the great thing is, so you're going to spend maybe if you go to Walmart. I bought this one off of Walmart. It's really, I mean, it's heavy duty, really solid, and I think I bought it for like 20 bucks. But the blades themselves, like I'll literally own this one forever, and I can even pass it down to kids, obviously. But it's so high quality, it's not going to rust anything. It's like the stainless steel, but each blade is like 20 cents, and you can shave like I want to say at least 5, 6 times with each blade. You can flip it over too. So for 20 cents, instead of like I usually buy the blue like Bix, like the really really expensive. They're like I want to say like 80 cents each, once you buy it. But I figured, hey, let me try to get it. So I try to get as cheap as possible. So for everybody watching on YouTube, you're going to see the safety razor. I suggest using this. I don't shave a whole ton, but I do get like on my cheeks and underneath my in my neck. I want to shave that up. So for you, tip for you, if you want to be frugal, get something like this. It's 20 cents for a blade. I bought like a pack of 100. So literally the rest of my life, I will never need to buy another razor blade or anything like that again.
Cool beans. Why is it called a safety blade
Safety razor, I don't really
or
know.
razor?
But yeah, so I mean, it glides pretty well. I have cut myself. It's more easier to cut yourself. Well, no, so it's obviously being safety, but it's safety because it's a razor blade, but you can't cut yourself too deep. Every time you're going to cut or you're going to shave, you might cut yourself a little bit. I have cut myself like once or twice where it's like a little bit of blood coming out because I didn't know the angle very well. But I love it, and it cuts very very well. But I'm frugal too, so it saves me a ton of money.
You're giving it a ringing endorsement. The
I am.
safety blade, and you've cut yourself with it. I
Well,
just love
I,
it.
I see the what's the ironicness that it's called the safety razor, and you can also cut yourself. But hey,
Yeah,
that's just the thing. I mean, it's a razor blade. You're literally using a razor blade as opposed to
yeah,
little thin strips.
I
So
gotcha.
it's better than one of those cutthroat knives that are just one big long blade that you could
Yeah,
literally just
uh
slice
huh.
yourself open. But
Yeah,
so yeah, I just thought about it. I was shaving this morning. I was like, I got to tell Sky about this. This thing's
yeah.
pretty
Oh,
cool.
nice. Thank you. Yeah, I still go with the cheap. I get Target brand, the cheapest razors they got there, because I basically only shave this area, my neck, and then this area here. This stuff gets trimmed when I cut my hair and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough about bathroom grooming and whatnot. Right? Let's get to the movie. We watched Groundhog Day. And Dust, I can already guess probably what your grade is, but why don't you tell the audience what you feel or how you feel about this movie?
So we've been thinking about other movies to review and everything. We have a list of ones that we just love. And I was like on Instagram, and I saw a sponsored ad for Jeep, and I saw Bill Murray in it. I was like, what in the world? So I watched it. I literally watched it, and it was a like part two, like a 1 minute part two of Groundhog Day where he's driving a Jeep. The commercial was brilliant. I absolutely Bill Murray's amazing. He did a fantastic job. The commercial was really really fun, and it brought me back to think I want to review Groundhog Day. That's an amazing story, but also so hilarious. Bill Murray's brilliant in it. And so I sent it over to you and I said, hey, let's go ahead and do Groundhog Day because it's such a great movie. So I I remember watching this a long time ago and just was enamored at how amazingly arrogant and egotistical Bill Murray is, and then transforms throughout the entire movie, learning and growing, wants to kill himself in the middle of it because it's so horrible. At the very end, he changes to where he realizes helping people, being more of a service, being a good person is so much better than not. And so this whole process, the storytelling, the comedic aspect, like Bill Murray is just so amazing when it comes to being, I guess, quick-witted and improving and everything like that. That it's brilliant, and the way he delivers everything is so funny. I absolutely give this an A+ because I can watch this over and over and over again. It's a great story with great acting. How about you?
Yeah, I feel not as strongly as you do about it, but I really did enjoy the movie from the first time we saw it back in what movie? This was a 1993 movie, quite a while ago, right? But really good story, like you said, great acting. Love Andy McDowell. On top of Bill Murray, like you said, everybody loves Bill Murray, but Andy McDowell, Chris Elliott as well, the rest of the cast, Ned Ryerson, Stephen Tobolowsky, everyone made it such a great, fun movie. I give it an A myself. It's not endlessly rewatchable for me. Like I might be able to watch it once every 10 years or so, and actually rewatching it this time I nodded off during kind of the 1/3 of the way into the movie, but then once it gets to when like he's really depressed and that whole time, and then once it picks up towards the end, like I was just really into it. So I still give it an A, even though I did nod off at one time in it.
You did nod off. I don't
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a time that I would be able to nod off, because I mean the story is really fun and it progresses very well in my opinion. But yeah, there's so many one-liners, so like just like Ghostbusters, and how Bill Murray delivers them. It's just hilarious. But what is great is after you watch the entire movie, what it comes out is in the very end, and you might be thinking, okay, the end goal is to sleep with the girl, like have sex with the girl at the very end. But no, it turns out that he literally at the very, very end, and spoiler alert, if you've ever seen it, back 10 years, 20 years ago. So what happens is he doesn't actually sleep with her at the very end. He just falls asleep, and then they wake up together, and then it's the next day. And so basically the whole premise is, if you haven't seen it, he wakes up having the same day over and over and over and over again, like literally over and over again. In the middle, he tries to kill himself because it's like it never stops. Nothing is pleasing him. He realizes everything else is just meaningless. Everything that he tries to do for himself is meaningless. So everything for other people actually starts to gratify and be self-gratification, where he's just helping people. And so that's the end point, is that after everything's over, it wasn't that he was trying to sleep with her, which that he was, but he realized that's not the goal. The goal should be helping other people, making other people's lives better. So that's why, that's another huge reason why this story is so fun. But it helps you as you're watching it to understand that all those other things are just pointless and meaningless. And that's what he realizes, the character of Phil. He realizes that everything else is meaningless unless it's actually turned into where I'm a better person helping other people.
Yeah. That's a really good point right there for sure. He grew throughout the movie. Like oftentimes, movies, you see a character grow from, going from A to B kind of a thing, but he absolutely grew. You see the arrogant jerk, like you said at the very beginning of the movie, he was the kind of guy that you would never want to hang out with. You wouldn't want to work with. You saw that newscaster in the beginning of the show or the movie. She absolutely just didn't respect him at all. She was laughing at him because he had to go there, go to Punxsutawney, but probably because he was just such a jerk about everything else, right? And then so he changed along the way, started caring for other people. I really like the scene where he actually befriended the old, homeless guy. I don't know if he was, but potentially homeless guy, taking care of him. And it was just his time to die, no matter what he did. And we didn't get to see, but I imagine like he probably helped him out for like weeks, like 30 days, 40 days, kept trying different things to bring that guy to keep him alive one extra day. And nothing seemed to work,
Yeah, definitely. And just seeing how fragile life can be, somebody literally dying, somebody he just walked past every day, and then realizing at the very end, because what's neat, he would walk past him every day over and over, doing the same thing over and over again. But then one time, a long time after he's done it so many times, he realizes, man, that he's dead now. Like, how did that happen? And I've walked past him so many times, and then now putting effort into trying to make sure he stays alive. And he's like, no, I can actually do it. Help him to stay alive. Like if I start sooner. So from the beginning, you see Bill Murray's character, Phil, be very arrogant. And you see him being like the weatherman. It was a Cable 6 Pittsburgh or something like that.
Hmm.
Being the really, really arrogant guy, calling people names like his the lady that's also on the news, calling her like hairdo. And, calling her names and just basically looking down on everybody. And I don't know if he's actually like this in person, but he pulls it off so amazing in just about any movie. Like being an arrogant jerk, he pulls it off so well. Just like in Ghostbuster, the Walter Peck, the guy that plays Walter Peck, he plays the evil or the bad guy that you just hate. He plays that so well. Bill Murray can play the arrogant, obnoxious, egotistical guy so well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He probably does have some of that in him. Remember how we talked about during the Ghostbuster movie where it was up in the air whether or not Bill Murray would actually show up for work. He might be the kind of guy that feels like, if I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. If I don't like you, I'm going to tell you. Maybe that kind of stuff is part of him. Maybe not the outright arrogance and naming people or giving, calling people names and stuff, but that is a little part of him. I think for most people, if you could fake it and lie and act for acting's sake and be somebody completely different, you have a little bit of that inside you, I think.
I would agree. And I do also look at this movie as being, well, it is a Harold Ramis movie. He was part of no, he wasn't. There's somebody else that wrote it, but Harold Ramis helped, with the screenplay and directed it. Harold Ramis is just, I think he was because he's passed on now, but a brilliant comedian, very, very funny, very good storyteller, because the stories that he tells with other, actors like Dan Aykroyd and all that sort of stuff, they're good stories. They help you draw along. And so this one, in my opinion, really highlights his ability to tell stories and be very, very funny along the way. And so it was great having them two again. I think the first time I remember them together was in Stripes. Do you remember Stripes?
Absolutely, I do. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so that's a fun movie where they're basically going to the military and they work together and they eventually come out and they actually go on a mission and all that sort of stuff. And it's just not really slapstick, but it's just a fun comedy of two funny guys that, they do really funny. As us watching, it's funny, the things that they do. And so
you have John Candy mud wrestling in it.
You sure do. Mm-hmm. And so it's great watching them, both Harold Ramis and Bill Murray, go through the process of, from Stripes to, Ghostbusters and then Groundhog Day and so on. And another movie that I don't remember if Harold Ramis was a part of it, but one thing I really want to do eventually is What About Bob? Have you ever seen What About Bob?
I have, and I do. Everybody seems to love it, and I watched it one time and didn't care for it. But this is probably when it came out back in 19 whatever it was. So I don't know what it's like now.
Yeah, I personally want to do it, but here's the thought. If we do it, I could perceive you giving it a negative score. And the reason why is because you as the viewer get beat down so much because Bill Murray's character is hilariously obnoxious, hilariously annoying. And you, Sky, would actually put yourself in the place of the doctor that's like, trying to help him out.
Richard
Dreyfuss's character. You'd be putting yourself like, I can't stand this guy. I could see you doing that. But if you don't do that, if you put yourself in a perspective as not as Richard Dreyfuss, but as somebody who's just really trying to appreciate how comedically brilliant Bill Murray is, you're just like, dude, you have Groundhog Day and Ghostbusters where Bill Murray's absolutely arrogant and egotistical and all that, to What About Bob, where it's completely opposite. Like he's literally not that, and how amazing Bill Murray did it. And you just try to suspend that like anxiousness, like, oh, I want to kill that guy, just like Richard Dreyfuss does, who literally tries to kill him. So yeah, Bill Murray, he's very versatile. Now, I would say there are some Bill Murray movies that I will never watch. Any drama movie that Bill Murray is in, I just made a finger like I'm shooting myself. I literally will never watch any drama by Bill Murray again. The only ones where he's a comedian and he's funny, that's the only ones I will ever watch again, because I've been tricked before by Bill Murray. There was one, he was in Japan with, what's her name? Black Widow lady. I was like, this is the worst movie I have ever seen. And then he comes out with another one that's a drama. This now is the worst movie. And so I never watch any Bill Murray dramas anymore. What about you?
I don't watch them either. I did watch the Dead Don't Die, and like I told you, I told you not to watch it because no, wait, you walked out of the theater. I stayed all the way through, which was a terrible choice on my part, staying through. But yes, I agree with you. Like Life Aquatic, Steve Zissou or whatever that was, and Rushmore. There's a few other ones that I just can't get into. You know, it maybe it's just that style of drama, dry comedy. I just don't like in general too. I don't think it's Bill Murray's fault, you know.
Well, all of them, like the dry comedy, those ones like Rushmore and Steve Zissou, those ones are a dry comedy. But the one where he was with what's her name in Japan,
Scarlett Johansson,
oh
that's
my,
just drama.
oh my goodness, it was
Yeah.
crap. It was so horrible. Even the story was bad, but him in it, it's just like put anybody, literally anybody else. They would do a much better job than Bill Murray. So, but yeah, you're right. Like the most recent one with the zombie one with Bill Murray, I'm like, oh my goodness, I want to kill myself. It's that bad.
Yeah.
It's like I'm in Groundhog Day doing it over again. Like I'm going to give Bill Murray a chance in this drama. I'm going to give him another chance and then another chance and then another chance. And I'm realizing I'm doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's not going to work.
So it's insanity.
It is. But when you got something like Zombieland, fun, really fun. Bill Murray's fantastic in it. And you're like, yes, this is his forte.
For sure. Yeah. So you've hit the nail on the head. Stick with those just straight up comedy movies like these ones here. Well, this one's kind of like not dry, but this is kind of like a subtle, like a romantic comedy is what I would consider this one, you know, with a little bit of time travel element in it as well. And now you had mentioned Harold Ramis, of course. Originally, his idea for making this movie was that it took place over 10,000 years. Like he was stuck in on Groundhog's Day for 10,000 years. But later on, he amended it to say that Bill Murray, or his character, was probably in there for roughly 10 years, is what he meant to say, you know. But I mean, you can imagine if you were stuck in the same day for 10,000 years, 1 year would be bad enough. 10 years, pretty darn bad. 10,000 years, no wonder he was so depressed and angry and willing to kill himself over and over again. But, you know, that led to my very first lesson. Because he was having such a bad attitude, he eventually... I can't remember exactly how, but Rita sat down and talked with him, you know, and my very first lesson is attitude is everything, right? She said to him, depends on how you look at it. And that kind of like sparked something in him. And he decided to change his ways. And instead of looking at this as like, you know, being in hell, being trapped in hell forever, he looked at it and now is his opportunity to help other people, to grow himself, right? He started to take piano lessons. He found the homeless guy. He saves the kid every single day. I mean, there's so many things he did now because he looked at it from a different perspective. So I think that's a really good life lesson. That's like my number one lesson I took from this movie here.
Yeah, that's a great lesson. I think that ties into one of my lessons. It really comes down to the end goal, or what happens at the very end of the movie. And that's the number one lesson I took away, is that it's better to serve people. It's better to help people. It's better to be there for other people. If you're just only concerned of yourself, literally it's a not just a small world, like it's just tiny, like it's only you in there and there's nobody else that really wants to be around you. And that's a horrible way to live. Whereas at the very end, people were spending almost thousands of dollars, or, you know, a couple $100 on just trying to be with, you know, spending time with him. And in that auction thing, which was really, really fun. And so, yeah, absolutely having that lesson of what's the end goal? You know, how do we eventually, and here's a big question you might either have thought about, or you probably should think about, is what would you like written on your tombstone when you die? That's the big question. Like, that's what people are going to remember you as. Like, this guy was a jerk. Do you want to be remembered as that? No, absolutely not. And so I think for me, if I'm going to look at my tombstone and what I would want that to be written out, number one, it says, love God, loved his wife, loved his children, and loved others. That's, for me, that's it. That if I get those things written down and I do those things in my life to have that stuff be said about me on my tombstone, I will have lived a great life. What about you? What do you think?
On my tombstone?
Yeah.
Number one, husband and father. And then everybody at the funeral agrees when they see that. That's all I want right there.
Like the little number symbol?
Yeah, number one. Oh, no, not the number one. The big hand, the big foam finger with a one on it. That's what I want on my tombstone. Number one, husband and father in Wingies
Nice.
is what I want.
Nice. Yeah. And so that, when it comes down to this movie, we're seeing so many great things that Bill Murray does comedically, like being an actor. You see him, and I can't. Well, but the end, you see the transformation, and that's what is great about movies and storytelling. You see the transformation. But I want to quickly think about, because I never knew what the total time was. Like, if it was it 1 year, was it 10 days? Well, like how it seemed like it was probably like a year ish. But if it was 10,000 years, oh my goodness. How, like, and you can't leave that town, or at least it seems like you can't leave that town. Um, it's just like, wow. But I can see, okay, 10 years living that same day over and over again, I would be amazing at certain things. Like, I would just, keep playing the piano or, and what I loved was when he was walking down the diner, out through the diner with Rita, and say, I am a God. I'm not the God. I'm a God. And maybe there isn't a God. Maybe he's just been around long enough. He just knows everything. I'm like, that's pretty interesting. But when you thought of, with Harold Ramis says 10,000 years, I'm like, how in the world did that play out? But in the movie, we never hear exactly how long, because he's not counting, it seems like. But like, I don't know how they would play that out, but it does show like it's been a very, very long time.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what led to such tremendous growth, right, within him. Like, if it was just a year, probably not grow as much, definitely not become such a good piano player, right? But you can imagine he started off knowing nothing and then playing just totally with the jazz band and everything at the end. That's got to be years in itself, right? While he was learning that. So easily 10 years at a minimum right there for him. And I agree with you. I would do the same thing. Like, my goal would be just to be 1% better every day, do something to grow myself. At first, I mean, I would be freaking out. Like, how do I get out of this? What can I do? How can I escape? I would try to stay up till 6 a.m. every single day. Just try everything to escape. You could see that. But eventually, hopefully sanity would take over. You just realize, geez, this is my lot in life. I'm stuck here. No way to get out. Let's make the best of it.
So when you hear that song, I've Got You, Babe, does this movie ring? Like, does it immediately jump to the forefront of your brain?
It doesn't. Does it for you?
Absolutely. As soon as I hear that song, I immediately go, because it's played over and over and over again.
It is, yeah.
And that clock, that's like his thing that reminds him your day's starting over, and your day is gonna, like, you're never getting out of this. So just hear that click, and don't let them tell your hair's too long. All that whole song, it absolutely brings my brain to this movie, and it's enjoyable because I have so much fun watching it. There's so many one-liners. Do you have any one-liner that Bill Murray says inside this movie that you really like?
There's quite a few. I didn't really pick them out and write them down and think about them. I'm sure as you tell me some, I'll remember them all though.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally everything he says. It just seems like he makes it up on the fly, but obviously a lot of it's scripted. There's some great ones, but one scene I'm going to talk about, my favorite scene, is when, and this was in the part 2, or like the Jeep commercial. It shows him stealing the groundhog and then taking that old beat up car in the regular version, the movie version, old beat up car, and driving. And he's driving with the groundhog, and he goes, "All right, don't drive angry. Don't drive angry." And I literally say that when I'm driving with my kids. I'm like, don't drive angry. For whatever reason, like, it'll just come to my brain. I'll say something like that, or I'll be driving. I'll be like, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be like, side of your eye. Side of your eye.
That's right.
I do that sort of stuff. And so I would say, because I really enjoy the entire movie, so it's hard to pick a favorite scene. But my brain, if I think about the clock clicking, but that's not my favorite scene. When I hear that song, that my brain goes to it. My favorite scene is him literally driving the Jeep, or not Jeep, the truck, driving all around. That's why when I watch the Jeep commercial, I'm like, brilliant, because that's what I remember, is him driving with the groundhog and then driving off the cliff. And then you have Larry. What was Chris
Elliot.
Chris Elliott. Brilliant. I love him as an actor. He is fantastic. Yeah. I wish he was in more movies, or at least, he's still around. Do you remember that TV show that he had?
Yeah. Get a Life?
Get a Life. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was Get a Life. Yeah. He was a
30-year-old paper boy.
Yes, he was. Remember, you and I had paper routes too?
Yep. Yeah, but we weren't 30. We weren't 30. I swear, everybody.
We were 13. Yeah, we were 13 years old. But Chris Elliott is hilarious. The way, I think the comedic interplay between those two are really, really fun. They didn't have a ton of scenes together, but they're very, very fun together. But yeah, Bill Murray or Phil drives off the cliff with the truck and kills himself, and Larry's looking down, or Chris Elliott's looking down, says, he might be okay. And then it blows up. He's all, nah, it's gone.
Yep.
But
Good
so
stuff.
from there, with all the other one-liners, there's so many in there. And for me, like every single time I watch it, like those one-liners, like when he gets out of bed and he's all, nice going, guys, playing yesterday's tape. Like, and everybody's chap lips. And it just, those things just keep going in my brain. I could just go to over and over again. But as I like, that for some reason, things that are said in the movies stick in my brain. And this is another one that just so many stick in my brain. But yeah, let's move on. I really, really enjoyed that process. What did you think about, I never saw Annie McDowell before in this movie. I don't recall seeing her. Do you remember her before this?
Before this, I don't remember. I'm sure we've seen her here and there. I don't remember, but I do like her definitely. She does a great job as Rita. Really like nice, sweet woman for sure. And I can see how initially she was like standoffish towards Phil. She would smile at him occasionally when he was telling jokes on the camera and stuff, right? Eventually she really warms up to him, especially when she sees what kind of a good guy he is, right? Like you can imagine she's the kind of person that's maybe been burned by celebrities in the past. I mean, a weatherman is a little bit of a celebrity, right? So maybe not burned by them, but she sees how maybe stuck up and how arrogant they can be. So she even though she works in that world, she would never date one. And so I like her standoffishness at first, which turns to, I guess, interest, and she ends up spending $382 and 45 cents or whatever on him during the auction. It was pretty cool.
She did a great job in this role. Like you really felt like what Bill Murray or Phil's character says at the very end. She's the most thoughtful, the most kind, the most everything. She played that. Like you felt like, yeah, she absolutely is. One part in the movie that is probably next to the driving scene where he's driving in the car with the groundhog that I remember the most, and these are the quotes that I remember, is him sitting on like a bench, and he's sitting in like a trench coat, and he just sitting there looking around, and he just says, gust of wind, dog barks.
Oh yeah.
Cue the truck.
Uh-huh.
Exit Felix. Exit Herman with a not so bright look on your face. Come on, Doris. Fix your bra, honey. It's like the whole, that is just, it's so much fun. Why? Because he's literally talking about, me and my friends, like, you might remember my friend Joe. He loves that movie too. So we'll say that sort of stuff. His brother Nate, he and we also say that stuff. But he steals the bag and he goes, "Hey Felix, did I bring out 2 bags?" "Oh, I don't know." It's awesome. And we find that that's how he has money so he can spend and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. My goodness, I could just keep talking about the movie, but let's move on. Let's go to your second lesson.
Well, before that, because you just now mentioned the scene, that plays into my Monday morning quarterback, and that is don't hire a couple old doddering guys to be your security or your armored car guards, right? Just not a good idea. You want young, strong, strapping guys that can pay attention, clear eyes,
that have clear memory, that can think, no, I brought 2, not like, did I bring 2?
Yep.
My Monday morning quarterback is, and we didn't see this in the movie, but we know he's stuck inside of Punxsutawney, right? Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, whatever force is causing him to stay and live that same day over and over again. So the first thought was, my Monday morning quarterback was, hey, I have an option. Like the state trooper says, hey, you got a choice. You can go back to Punxsutawney, or you can go out and freeze. And he's all, I'm thinking. But next time, choose. Let's just go. Let's just drive. I don't care if Larry and Rita die with me, because I know I'm just going to start all over again. Choose that one. That was my first Monday morning quarterback. Let's see how we can get out of, or how we can do that. But then I thought even more so, as soon as you wake up, screw doing the groundhog, because it's still light outside. It's still no blizzard yet. As soon as you wake up at 6 a.m., get in that car and just steal it and drive out and see what happens after that. You might go back and wake up there. We don't know, because he didn't actually do that. But that would be my Monday morning quarterback, is as soon as I wake up, try to drive out.
That makes sense. That's a good thing. Good thing to do when you're stuck there for 10,000 years, right? You got
It's,
to try
it's an option.
everything.
I mean, he
Yep,
says to
that's right.
Rita that he's killed himself so many times that he can't even remember. Like,
Yeah.
man, that's just nuts. Imagine killing yourself the one time, let alone the thousands of times. The first time dying, I
Hmm.
was like, oh man. But then again, I think the first time, if I remember correctly, it was him driving off the cliff. That was the first
It
one.
it seems like that was it at least.
Yeah.
Mhm, for sure. Cool. So, you asked what my second lesson was. It's let's see here. Oh, be aware of how others view you. Right. At one point, I mean, everybody obviously thinks he's a stuck-up jerk. When everybody, just like you were saying earlier, right? Like you should do good in this life by helping others, being a kind person. When you're not a helpful person, when you're not kind to others, no one's going to want to do anything nice for you, right? If everybody views you as a jerk, you, the way they view you is your own fault, right? Nobody sees that guy's a jerk and he's not a jerk. That doesn't happen, right? Not never happens that way at all. So if they think you're a jerk, if they think you're stuck up, it's because you are, and you need to change your ways. You need to change your attitude to get on the right side of all the people around you, because those are the ones, when the crap hits the fan, they're the ones that have the potential of helping you if you ever need any kind of help.
And it takes a lot to get to that point where you realize and you think outside yourself, because usually the arrogant, egotistical people don't even care that other people think that. It's
Yeah.
realizing that, man, people think that, because more than likely, Phil's character was walking around thinking everybody absolutely loved him when they completely hated him, because he's so arrogant, so egotistical, so egocentric that he's like, and self-centered, that he literally thinks that the way that that person looks at me, even though they're looking at him with detest and like arrogance, like that person's horrible, he's like, that's love. It's admiration. It's respect. And so you need to get past that and start become, be a little different. Now, one thing that I do say a lot so now I'm thinking about quotes before I get to my second lesson. Now that I've quit my job, I literally don't need a job. I have rental properties. I have online businesses. I have businesses where I make money, where I will never need to work a job again. And I'm telling my kids, don't go to college. There are so many other ways to make money. In fact, I'm going to blow up my diploma, and I'm going to hopefully start a I don't know, movement to get rid of the diploma and say I don't need college. Anyways,
Hashtag diploma blow.
there you there we go.
No, maybe not that. Maybe not that.
So what I realized was, when I was watching this movie, you see have Rita and Phil. Phil's trying to figure out everything about her, and she's all, "Ugh, yuck, white chocolate." And he's all, "No white chocolate, no fudge." Okay, like he's making a list. But in that scene, you hear her talk about what she did at college, and she says, "I studied 19th century French poetry." And Phil, without hesitation, went, "What a waste of time." I literally think that, and I've said that before, just because this movie, when somebody says something like, I've heard, I can't even remember what they are, but so off the wall, like 19th century French poetry, like, why would you major or like whatever? Like, why would you even go study that? That's not going to help you get anything.
Yeah.
Read a book. Anyways, I've literally said that to people, and they're kind of like, they're taking it back. I'm just like, I'm just joking. That's from a movie, Groundhog Day. But
I
same
totally
thing.
believe it.
Exactly. But I totally, what a waste of time.
Yeah. Adam Carolla, I listen to his podcast and stuff. He said his mom, Chris Carolla, in college back in the 70s, she studied Chicano history.
Wow.
Or Chicano studies, or whatever it was. Her major was Chicano studies. What are you going to do? You're basically just going to school to learn about something, to become a professor and teach other people that same thing.
That same exact thing.
That's all you're doing right there.
That's all you're going to be doing. Oh, it's sad. Okay.
Yeah.
So my second lesson is, as you're watching the movie, you see all the people before Phil changes to be a good person and helping people. You see him and how he interacts with people. And my second lesson is, everyone hates self-centered people. Like, if you come across somebody who's self-centered, their personality feels like it feels like, at least to me, like I'm being punched in the face by their personality over and over again, just by how arrogant they are. And I can tell, because I am completely arrogant. I'm completely prideful, but I try to pull that back. Over the years, I've grown and at least tried my best to grow and grow and grow. So I put other people first, kind of like Bill Murray or, Phil's character. And so because I'm so prideful and arrogant, I can see it Like it's like punching me in the face in every single person. And I'm like, oh man, that's how somebody acts. I might do that. I better stop if I do it. So everybody hates self-centered people.
For sure, they do. 100%. You're right about that. And that kind of ties into my third lesson. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That kind of tied in. No, my bad. Didn't tie into my third lesson. I had a fourth lesson, but since you just now said that, I'll leave my fourth lesson off. But my third lesson is try to be in the moment and you'll enjoy life a bit more. Now, Bill Murray was throughout Groundhog's Day, he was totally just unhappy with the spot he was in, right? He didn't accept his position, being stuck in the same day over and over again. Eventually, he changed his attitude and he decided to, I'm going to make the best of this. Well, you could kind of see in the way he was acting when he decided to start make the best of it, he was actually talking and listening to other people and finding out their stories and being in the moment and sharing things with them, right? Like when he helped the two married couple give them the WrestleMania tickets. Oh, did you realize, do you know who the groom is of that married couple or
No,
fiancé couple?
No.
Michael Shannon.
I don't know who that is.
This is probably one of his first roles. He's an actor. He played Zod in the latest Superman movie. He was the literary son in Knives Out, the publishing arm. That's Michael Shannon. You've seen him in lots of other movies in small parts and stuff. But this was like probably one of his first roles. He looked like an 18-year-old fresh-faced kid.
Wow. No, I had no idea, but I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Cool. And then so it just goes to show when you're in the moment, when you're paying attention to those around you, your situation around you, when you're taking part in things, that's when life is much more enjoyable. And you can see that at the end, that final day. Like you said, your favorite scene was driving with the groundhog. My favorite scene, and it's a long scene, is just the final day when he's doing good thing after good thing. Everything is working. He saves the kid. He saves the mayor from choking, makes friends with Rita, of course. I mean, everything good happens that day. And that's because he was fully in it to win it and just being a good person,
In it to win it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole last scene or the whole last storytelling of that last day is so much fun. They did a great job where Bill Murray or Phil says, I got to go run some errands. Like, I'll hold off. Can I get a rain check on the coffee with Rita? Which his former self be like, yes, let's jump. Like when he was trying to sleep with her, let's jump right. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. No, but he's like, oh, I got some errands. Can I catch up with you? She's all, what errands? So that whole scene is really entertaining. And the reason why is because you see that transformation. I just love movies that have transformations, actually stories that have transformations really hopefully help us to engage. Now, my third lesson is that I'll preface it by, I would really like my kids to be able to play the musical instrument and be really, really good. So what I want them to learn how to play the piano. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to become a piano mover so that they can become great piano players.
That's right. You just learn through osmosis, just being around pianos, hanging out with somebody who hangs out with pianos all day. It's totally good.
And that line is like, we're thinking about quotes of the movie. It's so hilarious where the lady is like, are you sure that this is your first time? He's all, well, my father was a piano mover. So,
yep. Oh, perfect right there. Love that line for sure. Let me see here. Oh, let me guess. Your prop is the clock.
Wow, you know me so well. Yes, absolutely. It's the clock because you're going to remember that. I had to buy at least 15 of those. You're doing it over and over again. Yes, but it's the clock.
Gotcha. For me, hopefully it wasn't actually made out of ice. I would like Rita's frozen face prop right there that he sculpts at the end in the park. I think that would be pretty cool to have.
Yeah, I would never have thought of that. The other runner-up was a toaster. I probably could have grabbed it.
That's right, huh? Dropping in the tub on him.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So, but I mean, in all, it's such a fun movie. So, what was your grade?
A. And you said A plus earlier, right?
Got it. Yes.
Cool beans. So, Dust, this movie. Oh, but before we go on to discuss next week's movie, what do you have anything last minute things about this one?
No. There are so many. I mean, I could just really go through every single scene and talk about how much I love every single scene and how it played out. I don't remember at any point for me where I got bored because it's just showing the transformation of Bill Murray. The only one is the very, very first day where where they leave and they drive out and they get stuck in the blizzard and they have to turn around.
That's where I nodded off.
I could see that because that
Nothing's
helps set up.
happening, and
Yeah,
they're going to get trapped there anyway. It's just
yeah,
yeah,
it sets up the rest of the movie, but that's the part where it kind of again kind of slodges down. But
yeah.
yeah, no, I love this movie.
Cool. Good, good. So do I. So, Dust, this, of course, was your choice because you're such a big fan of it. Next week, I want to learn from a movie that blew my socks off the first time I saw it. I had no idea. I never even heard about it hitting the theaters. Later on, it came out on the Red Box. I rented it and watched it and absolutely fell in love with it. It's Kingsman: The Secret Service.
Kingsman. I too remember that movie, watching it and be like, wow, this, because we've seen plenty of 007 movies or spy movies. This was rather fun because and you have mentioned, and I think it was with John Wick, like the underworld, not underworld, that's not the right way to say it, your normal world, but there are some things that we don't normally see, and John Wick is a great explanation or way to share that. Same thing with Kingsman, like a whole society or a whole group of people that is in plain sight. We should be able to see it, but we don't. So I'm all for it. Let's do Kingsman.
Cool beans, man. I am looking forward to that one. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video or listening if you're listening to the podcast. We appreciate your eyeballs and your ears. If you want to share with us your own life lessons, your Monday morning quarterback, the prop that you would take away from Groundhog Day, just go to the show notes page, watchandlearnpodcast.com/pod91, and then leave a comment right there. All righty. Once again, my name was Sky.
And I'm Dusty.
And we will return next week with
Kingsman: The Secret Service.
That's right.